What's going on, everybody? Hope you all had a fantastic weekend, an uneventful weekend. Hopefully it was maybe a little calmer than the last week has been, but it's time to jump back into this. I figured we talk a little finance here since we've been getting calls from the White House. Trump just on his soapbox screaming into the emptiness from Truth Social over there. It obviously gets reposted everywhere else, so we all get to see it, but plenty of financial claims and promises and calls for action coming out of the president. Spoiler alert, I don't think almost any of this is going to happen, but we'll still talk about it nonetheless regardless. Just see, I mean, if it does happen, you'll know what's going on, I guess, and we can address it from there. I think the biggest one everybody is kind of paying attention to is the credit card interest rate cap. Trump has recently came out and called for a 10% interest rate cap on credit cards. The problem with this is he has no authority, power to do so. Him calling for it literally means nothing. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. It's probably overall a good thing if it somehow ever happened, but it's almost for sure not going to happen. President can't do that. Congress can pass laws regarding consumer interest rates and cap the rates, but I don't think this is going to happen because if anybody knows anything about politics is they get lobbied, and who do you think has the most money to lobby the politicians? That would be the banks who are running the credit cards effectively. I know when you think of credit cards, you're thinking Visa, MasterCard, Discover, whatever, American Express, but really they all operate with the backing of the banks. So whoever the bank that's issuing your card is really the important thing. And honestly, until today, I didn't realize, but credit card points, which is the only reason I really use a credit card, is paid for by your bank. I didn't know that. The bank issuing the card is the one really affording the points because they're the ones really making most of the money. So it's kind of like credit card company is a mediator between the credit line issued by the bank and you, but the bank is really making the most profit here, it seems like, and the credit card is, like I said, facilitator. But the problem with this is, great, you cap, say Magic, he snaps his fingers, caps the credit card interest at 10%. What's the bank's next move, the ones issuing these cards? Strip the credit cards from everybody who doesn't pay their interest and stuff on time, who's actually letting their debt revolve, because then obviously they've put the credit card limit as far as the debt goes. I think normally they're like in between 20 and 30% is pretty regular. I feel like is pretty normal for a credit card, which is insane. Yearly, was it APY, annual percentage yield, something like that. The yearly rate is roughly 20 to 30%. Most of the credit cards I have are between there. Let me know if you guys got ones higher than that, but it doesn't really matter to me because I never let the credit card roll. No interest on my credit cards. It's never happened. It will never happen. If it ever happens, it's time to quit using the credit card, cut it up, throw it in the trash, is my personal opinion. But sadly, 50%, over 50% of credit card users have a balance, a revolving balance each month. That's insane. And if you're doing that, you're probably not the one watching this video, but maybe you are. And if you need somebody to tell you to not do that, here I am telling you, don't do that. Cut the credit card up immediately and go get the debit card out and do it that way, because obviously you don't know how to handle the credit card. You shouldn't be paying interest for this stuff. There's no need to do it. You're just throwing money out the window, and it's overall just not good. So maybe that would be a benefit of this. They cap the interest rate. The companies, the banks and the credit card companies come in and say, yeah, we're stripping access to credit cards from all this, like the bottom half of all the people or whatever, because the risk isn't worth the reward. They're racking up credit card debt, but if we're making 10%, that's not enough for us to risk our money each month or each however long the payment period is. So we're taking away their access and whatever. Would that necessarily be bad? No, I really don't think it would. It might actually benefit some people because then they're stripped of their ability to go into credit card debt, and then they can just zero their bank account out, and then I guess the banks can get them with overdraft fees instead, but maybe you don't ruin your life with credit card debt. So that could be positive. Other than that, like I said, likelihood of it happening, slim to none. But it also, like I said, if you're watching this channel, hopefully you're paying attention to your money. You know a little bit about how credit cards work, why you shouldn't be paying people 30% interest year over year, and you don't use your credit card that way. I use my credit card like a debit card, except I get points out of it. The points effectively paid for by anybody who's not paying for their credit card on time with the bank's profits, and they give rewards to the people that pay it on time as an incentive to get you in, knowing that over 50% of people don't pay on time, so then they rack interest on their debt basically, and then give everybody else some airline fucking miles or whatever they got going on. Me personally, I've been rocking Robinhood's credit card. That's my go-to. That's one we use. Like I said, it's a debit card. It gets paid off every month. I don't care how much is on it. It could be $500, it could be $5,000. It's getting paid off at the end of the month. Big purchases, I have the cash in my hand before the purchase is made, and then it gets paid off. It's normally the same week. I'm just getting rid of it because I don't even want to see it on there. I don't even want to see thousands of dollars sitting in the app telling me that I owe thousands of dollars. So it gets paid off pronto. So on to the next topic, though. Really, like I said, credit cards probably not the biggest worry one way or the other. We'll see. It'll be interesting. Maybe the consumer will feel a little bit more worried as we go into this next year if they tighten up the credit usage, and people are already spending less. So it might be another catalyst here to push the consumer further into the hole. But really, it's money they didn't have in the first place. So whatever. Next is Trump is planning on taking steps to ban institutional investors buying single-family homes. This one might actually happen. And if it happens, another thing that's like, hey, if it happens, maybe it might work out for the better. My first reaction is this isn't going to do jack shit overall. I don't know if they're going to be able to ban them from owning homes. It'll be more like buying homes, so they just won't be able to buy new ones, I guess. There's plenty of loopholes in the background to this. I've seen some other videos where they're talking about if they're spending the money to renovate the homes and all these kind of things, which honestly is a positive, I think, and then flipping them or selling them, whatever. If nobody else was going to do it and they buy a trashed old house and renovate it and flip it, more power to them, I guess. I think this is more the people call it BlackRock, but it's not BlackRock. It's Blackstone, which is basically associated with the same company that BlackRock is, but it's the company that actually owns all these all these single-family homes by way of an institutional investor, like a Wall Street investor owning single-family housing. According to a 2022 report that I was reading, at least in the news article where they referenced it, they only own 3% of single-family homes. So even if they sold all their homes all at once, there would be an impact, but it's not going to fix the housing market. Let's say it like that. The housing market's been a mess since COVID, slightly post-COVID. It's going to still be a mess. I think the only real way out of this is you build more homes. Until we're building more homes, the problem's not going to be solved. We're not building enough homes as it is. We're not going to build enough homes as it is. Everything's too expensive. So I think generally it's status quo. The housing market's going to be messed up for a long time coming. Barring an economic crash, then we might see some other crazy things happen. But obviously, people are going to be negatively impacted one way or the other. So 3% of the homes. And if they're not banned from owning the homes, more just buying homes, then they're not buying new ones, but they still own roughly 3%. It'll slowly decrease as they probably just remove themselves from the asset class just to be done with it. But it's not going to be like 3 million, or how many of our homes hit the market. 3% of how many homes are on the market right now. It just hit the market all at once. It's not going to happen. Home prices aren't just going to fall through the floor in a week. That's not what's going to happen. And it's a popular thing. Trump's coming out right now. We're rolling here into the midterms this election cycle into November this year. So it seems like he's coming out with all these populist economic policies that sound good. Which sure, whatever. People hear institutional investor, obviously they side against them. I mean, right until you look below the surface a little bit and you go, oh man, they actually don't own as much as I think I do. But normally, especially, I heard this over the holidays, you're talking to your family and stuff, and they're like, it's all these this BlackRock owning all these it's like, well, yeah, it doesn't help that they do, but also it's people are paying out their ass, and also the government printed how many trillions of dollars and injected it into the economy, drove the price of everything through the roof. And you really think BlackRock is the main catalyst of why the prices of new and used homes are through the roof? That's not what it is. Everything's inflated because the government can't figure out how to stop spending money. And the next story we're going to talk about isn't going to help that. Now Trump also, as part of this housing kind of push, is trying to pressure Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac into buying $200 billion of mortgage bonds. So, sounds like a lot, $200 billion. It is, it is a lot. What I was reading, independent reporting supposedly coming out of Redfin, and if you don't know who Redfin is, they're involved in the housing market. They would obviously benefit by more people buying homes, but Redfin basically comes out and says, hey, according to our calculations, however they're doing their calcs, this would have a minimal impact on mortgage rates, because that's what the whole goal is, to drive the mortgage rates down. Inverse relationship to the bonds. And they're saying, hey, maybe you get 0.1%, 0.15% lower interest rates out of this $200 billion. So is the juice really worth the squeeze? No. The problem is there's no fruit to squeeze in the first place. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac don't have this money. When you look into their balance sheets, from the numbers I'm hearing, is sub $20 billion. They don't even have $20 billion in cash to buy $200 billion worth of mortgage bonds. They can't afford it. So the only way they could afford it is if they went through and issued debt. These two companies, I'm no expert on them, but they are like quasi-public entities where they are kind of intertwined with our federal government, let's say it that way. Student loans and stuff, if you've had student loans with them, you probably have a grip on how these people operate. But problem is, they don't have the money. The only way they could get the money is if they issue debt. Now this one, I think, he has some ability, I think, to pressure them into doing this. We'll see what happens, I guess. But you do all this, dump $200 billion in, and you get 0.1% off a mortgage rate. It's just like, my mortgage rate right now is 6.75%. If it goes down to 6.65, it's like, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the effort. It's definitely not worth the money. And the only way they get the money, like I said, is they issue debt, and more debt, more inflation. It's just a constant. It all comes down to government spends too much money. Every time the government's involved, more money. Anytime you hear somebody say, this is a federally funded, this is state funded, this is government funded, just get the fucking checkbook out, because the price just went up. That's all you should know about the federal government. Anything to do with spending by the federal government. The price went up, the price goes up, the price continues to go up, and they just keep spending more money. Now, then they come out and say, well, we're going to do this and that, and it sounds real nice on paper. And it's like, great. So we're going to try to get the mortgage rates down because nobody can afford a house. Yo, Gen Zer, you can't buy a house because the mortgage rates are too high and every house costs $400,000. What if we get it down 0.1%? I know the price of homes went up 30% in the last 4 years, but we could probably get you down about $50 off the mortgage. What do you think about that? Fucking thanks, I guess. What? So what? It's pie in the sky, in my opinion, in the sense it's just inconsequential, I think is the right word for what a lot of this is being talked about. We'll see. I'd love to eat my words, and I'd love to watch interest rates go down to 3%, and I'll refinance my house so fucking fast, and I'll say, thank you, DJT. Or what is it? Donald J. Trump. Yeah, thanks Trump. I appreciate it. If you can drive interest rates down without crashing the economy to 3%, I'll really appreciate it. I'll eat my words. I bet you can't do it. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Leave a like on the video if you got something out of it. Dislike it if you didn't. And